just for those that may not know you, what company do you work with, and what part of the country do you work in?
I work under the Only umbrella, and my brand is called Move, and I'm in New Plymouth, Taranaki.
Beautiful.
Brilliant.
And what was your background before starting in real estate?
My background is I was, let's call it 17, and joined the army for 9 years, where I learned a couple of trades. One as a mechanic, one as a auto electrician. Was in the army for 9 years, loved it. Played a lot of rugby, went around the world, played rugby with my core rugby team. That was awesome. And then I left the army and joined, I did a little bit of vehicle inspection work, and then joined Fonterra as a tanker driver, and then progressed through the ranks to become the regional manager. And they had 160 staff and 50 mil tankers and all the mumbo jumbo that comes with that. And then in 2014, I really enjoyed the Fonterra opportunity, but high expectations on you and high demands. And I don't want to say it was stressful, but I just wanted to do something for myself. And I looked at my boss in Fonterra, and he was working sort of another 10 hours longer a week for not much more money. Stress was high. If you made 1 million widgets today and it was a world record, you expected to make that again tomorrow. But anyway, so I looked out of the machine of Fonterra and decided to take on real estate. I have a younger brother. He's 3 years older than me. That's in real estate. Has been for 21 years now. And I phoned him up and said, hey, bro, what's this real estate gig all about? He goes, come and spend a couple of days with me and I'll share what's going on. So spent a couple of days with him. We spent a bit of time just cruising around town, drinking coffee. And I thought, might be quite good, this real estate gig. And then I came back, did my papers, as if you want to call it, my study. Took a couple of 3 months while I was full-time at work, and then started real estate in November 2014. And I've learned a lot that it's got bugger all to do with drinking coffee.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure he gave you the glorified version for those couple of days. It wasn't the late night deals or the stress. He was cruising around town, high fives and coffees.
Yeah, shaking hands and smiling and patting everybody's back. That's what he was doing. I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. I can do that.
I can get paid for this.
It's a lot more than that. But love what I do.
What was the maybe transition from Fonterra into your first year? Like, what were some of the skills that maybe you didn't realize were going to be so useful for you coming into the industry?
Yeah, I was quite lucky in Fonterra. I spent the last sort of 3 years. I had a little bit of I call it a knack of engaging with people, and I had staff. Yeah, I learned a lot of stuff. I'm always learning about the good things, what great managers do, and the bad things that bad managers do, and you kind of learn what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And what I really learned was how to engage with people at Fonterra. It was a massive organisation, all types of people, and just being able to connect with people. I think that was a big thing I learned. I probably got a little bit of that from the army. You learn all about camaraderie and discipline and respect and all those good, funky, trendy words. But in Fonterra, it was the same really, in a different uniform without people shooting at you. No, shouldn't say that. That was probably not the greatest thing to say when things are going on around the world about that. But you'll be editing this accordingly.
We can edit it, no stress.
I just, there's a few things I've learned that very transitional into what I do now. There's, in my view anyway, I believe the great real estate people are very good at reading the room. They are super curious. They ask lots of questions. They're 100% present with the person they're in front of. They're not thinking about the appointment they had half an hour ago or the one in an hour's time. They are in the zone. They work their ass off, and they can adapt quickly to what's in front of them. Yeah. And are very, very, very good listeners. And I mean proper listeners, not just thinking about listening, actually listening.
Yeah, active listening versus just...
instead of just nodding heads like I'm doing now and kind of agreeing, but you can't really wait for them to finish because you want to say something over them or next to them. So lots of nodding. Silence is a massive benefit in real estate, in my opinion.
Totally. And what was your first year like? Did you hit the ground
Yeah,
running?
first year.
Was it
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, I did. I'll be honest. I am a hungry bastard. I love chasing goals, and maybe not so much big goals back there. But I was on a 6-figure salary in Frontier, and I was giving that up for zero income in real estate. There was no such thing as a retainer. I just had to do the work. So I got stuck in right from the get-go. And I turned up on day one on that Monday, and I didn't know what to do. I spoke to my principal, or manager as they're called, at the time, and see what I need to do. And he gave me a book from 1985 that didn't really give me a lot to go by. But he said, just got to get out there and meet people. So I did. And I'm a, much to some people, I'm not discussed, but I have done a lot of door knocking, 870 odd doors actually. I learned a lot in that. And I went out to replace my 6-figure income. And I can proudly say I started in November 2014, and by March 2015, kind of the end of the financial year, I dabbled in a little bit of real estate. I'd picked up a few listings, but I really wanted to kick it off on the 1st of April financial year. So I gave myself, 4 months of real estate training, and a month and a half of that, a month was Christmas. And in my first full year in real estate, I equaled my income and salary in Ontario.
What do you put that first year down to? I know you spoke about hunger. It can easily, new agents coming into the field, they can easily go, it's pretty risky leaving a high paying job, which it can be, but there's certain requirements to be successful in any industry. What do you think allowed you to have that fast start rather than, some of these agents that come in, they dilly-dally around for a couple of years and say real estate's really hard? What do you think was the spark?
Supportive wife. That's a big part. I was fortunate. I was still fortunate to have that. That was a big part of it. So she was a teacher, so we still had an income, but we had a lifestyle based on 2 incomes. Mortgage, 3 kids, 3 teenagers, so they eat a lot. So I don't know. I just got up every day, energized. I guess I exercised every day. I still did that then. I just set myself some goals. I learned pretty quickly in real estate, there's 3 things that you've got to chase: appraisals, listings, and solds. And those are my 3 measures. Those are my 3 KPIs. Everything else is very, very people focused and very, very important, and a lot of soft skills to get those 3 things. But how many appraisals are you doing? How many listings have you got, and how many have you sold? And I used to wake up every day and I literally say to myself, what am I doing today to get a listing? And I say it out loud like that. I don't actually say that anymore, which is interesting. But I used to say that every day. I had plenty of little goals too. Weird things would go on in my brain. I wouldn't actually, this is an example of a weird goal, I wouldn't put any petrol in my car until I got a listing. Sounds odd. It just motivated me. And when I got to the fuel pump, as bizarre as it sounds, I was standing there like, and I'm going, yeah, I got a listing. Weird. That's how my brain works. Kind of motivated by silly little things like that there. I am competitive, so I looked around the room and I looked around the people I was working with at the time, and I thought, okay, these guys are doing pretty good. I can do what they do. I'm a pretty good copycat. I've got bloody good ears and listening. I've been a member of the Tom Penos gym since February 2015, and I still am. And I found that really helpful. So a lot of the stuff has come from Tom Penos. I just learned what these other guns are doing, not only in New Plymouth. I had coffees with people in Hamilton. Actually, that's what I did. And I think back to that now, I actually, about 5 weeks into my, just before Christmas 2014, I actually went to Hamilton where my brother was, and I went and interviewed the 3 top agents in Hamilton.
Wow, yep.
And I took them out for lunch and a couple of morning and afternoon teas, and I sat down with them and asked them 3 questions. And it's a Tom Panos interview questions, really. What do you think you need to be great in real estate? If you could go back in time to your first week in real estate, what would you do differently? And what was the 3rd question? Probably those 2 questions, actually. Yeah, those 2 questions. What do you think makes a great real estate agent? What would you do if you could go back and see yourself in your first week? And these people have been in real estate between 12 and 18 years, these 3 hotshots in Hamilton. One of them was the most successful Bailey's real estate residential agent, which she had been for years. It just happened to be in the Hamilton office. And she was awesome. Yeah. And she just hungry. Yeah.
But I love how you simplified everything into appraisals, listings, and solds, because when you categorize them into those three pillars, I guess it becomes really easy for your tasks to then come off of that. You know, if you're sitting in an office or you're sitting at home going, oh man, I haven't sold anything, you need to just go back to where you are in the pipeline. It's like, well, I can't sell anything if I haven't listed anything, and if I can't list anything unless I've appraised something. So like step one, what do I need to do to go out and start appraising things?
Yes, 100%, mate. And I found in my short 11-year career, there are a lot of people that aren't prepared to do the work. And I'm not going to say they're lazy or unmotivated. They just, you've got to be prepared to do the hard stuff. I mean, look, it's life-changing income if you put the right mahi and if you do the right things by people. Yeah, quite incredible. But
in your opinion, with the hard work, often that comes down to facing rejection or being bad at something. And then when you're bad at something, you do it enough times, you eventually get good at it. What advice would you have for maybe a new agent or a agent that's maybe a bit stagnant in their career, where they're like, I know I should do X, Y, Z activities, but I just hold myself back because I'm creating these scenarios in my head, or I'm scared of the rejection? What advice would you have for those people, Darrell?
Yeah, I found a lot of, good question, mate. I found a couple of things that, not necessarily young people, but people that start in real estate, they lack two things. They lack confidence and resilience. And there's a fine level between confidence and arrogance. We all know that. But just being confident and resilient. And I think, new people lack that no matter their age. And stagnant agents probably lack a little bit of that too. But what I would do is, and look, I'm just going to preach what Tom Paterson has taught me and the real estate people I've worked with over the years, is if you're waking up in the morning, you haven't got an appraisal, you haven't got a listing, find a patch in your area, farm that area, know like everything about that area, who lives in that house, how long they live there, what their kids' names are, what their pets' names are, how many orange trees they've got in the backyard, when they last painted the fence, they've got a new boat. Really get to know your patch. It's, I don't know, varies between 800 and 1,000 people. DLE card, deliver them every fortnight a card in their letterbox, and go and knock on every one of those doors and meet all these people and find out why they live there, why they love it. And so door knocking, yes, it is door knocking. Some people don't like it, but I think you've got the spin-off of doing the door knocking and the DLE cards, and also the door knocking, is it just builds up your resilience and it builds up your confidence. You're going to get rejection, but look, in the 800 odd doors that I knocked on, no one actually told me to. They were just, if you're polite about it and you use the right words. I did try a couple of scripts and it never really worked, so I turned it into, hi, my name is Darrell Paterson. I'm out and about talking to people about property on a gorgeous Thursday afternoon. Who do you know that's thinking of buying or selling a property? And I just started a conversation. So my purpose was to build my database, and once you've got a database, then you go to step one in those KPIs. What am I doing today to get an appraisal? And I just kept in touch with these people, and I was religious at it. I was diligent as hell, probably army training. And yeah, it's not so much about getting the business, it's just building the connections as well as building your confidence and your resilience. And if you get that right, it's funny how it spins over to parts that aren't in your patch, where you can talk to people that are walking down the street, or someone in a cafe, So I think if you're you new or a little bit stagnant and you think you own a patch, I actually met a lady a few years ago, and she said, I know all the Fitzroy Strandon. She's in real estate. I said, oh really? That's pretty cool. How many properties sold there last month? Not sure. What's the average price in Strandon Fitzroy? Not sure. What's the prices compared to this time last year? No, I don't know. Do you really own the patch? Do you really know it? So you've got to be honest with you. You've got to give yourself a check up from the neck up. If you don't know those answers to your patch, but you think you own it, you don't own it. Short answer.
I love that. It reminds me of a bit of a philosophy where everyone wants confidence, but to have confidence, you need to have competence, in terms of you need to know what you're doing and you need to feel comfortable that you actually are articulate. And then to get competence, you just need to have the courage to try.
Yeah.
Because if you can go and knock on those doors, you can have those conversations. Like you said, it's just having the courage to do that. Eventually you have enough conversations that you learn to say the right things, or you learn what not to say. And then through that competence, you eventually get the confidence because you get the appraisal, you get the listing, you sell the property, and it's kind of this self-fulfilling process.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, it just self-fulfills. So door knocking has its place, still has its place in 2025 as we go into 2026. I still believe it has its place. And a lot of people, a lot of agents, not necessarily just in real estate too, they kind of can hide behind, the text machine or an email. You've got to go and touch bellies. Maybe not. But look at other people, talk to them, touch them, engage, find out what they're about. Just be super curious. So I used to ask, and I mean, there's some leading questions you can do in your door knock. I used to say to people, hey, after asking that question, who do you know that's thinking of buying and selling property? 99% of them are going to say, no one. And I know that. I mean, that's the expected answer. Of course they're going to say that, so be prepared for that. And then I said, look, how long have you lived there? 10, 12 years. What do you love about the area? And let's start a conversation. Then I'd say, look, I'm put together a report every month about real estate in the area. It's called the Paterson report. What's the best email address to send that to? Not, can I have your email address? What's the best email address to send that to? They'd tell me. And I'd have a bit of paper and I'd go, and your phone number? Sorry, your person's surname? Yeah, right on. Okay, great. Thanks, Mitch. I'll be in touch. Have a great day. Cheerio. And then just keep in touch with those people. And I built business from that, which is built to other things, But you got to start somewhere. So to answer your question, which is probably a fair few minutes ago, that would be my advice to people: own a part of your town. It will build your resilience. It will build your confidence. You're probably going to get business out of it if you do it long enough. Don't get put off by the rain or the wind or it's too hot. There's plenty of agents in Australia that I know that walk the hard yards through the rough times because people respect it. If you do it with the right intent and you've got the right delivery and you're not a dick, you'll be fine.
Yeah. And do you feel it's more important to have that resilience, or do you think it's more important that agents maybe focus on that mechanical side first? So if I'm an agent, I'm going out and I'm going to start door knocking based on this conversation. Do you think I need to practice my scripts to feel more confident to go and have that conversation? Or do you think it's more important that I just go, I'm okay to stuff it up, just go, get rejected, and I can get on with it from there? What would you focus on?
It's definitely the latter. Yeah, so don't get too hung up on trying to get the script right because you'll probably stuff it up. Just be your natural self. It's less focus on the scripts because I tried to do that when I first started. I learned all these wonderful scripts and beautiful words and articulate. Great. But it wasn't Darrell. And I couldn't do it naturally, and people can pick up a rehearsed message. So I just Darrellize it really and just tell, okay, how can I make this my words but still be connecting? Always about connecting. And in real estate, people talk about prospecting. I kind of find that a funny word. It sounds like I'm hunting down gang members. I just use connecting, and I'm connecting 24/7. If I'm going down to the road to buy a drink, I'm just talking to the man in the dairy or the lady in the dairy. We're always connecting. So, yeah, I don't think I've asked you a question there, but you want to ask me that again. What did you ask me?
You answered it. No, that was beautiful, mate. And coming into next year, you're someone that anytime I've ever spent time with you, you've always got something that you're working on or growing. And like you said, personal development is really business development for you, because if you grow, your business grows.
Yep.
What are some things that you're looking to work on coming into 2026?
Well, yeah, I'm just growing the team actually a little bit. I've just had a recent resignation actually from one of the team. They've decided to go down another path that's out of real estate, which is great because she's going to be awesome at what she's taking on. So a little bit of building the team, but not to try and be some almighty empire, because I think if you have too many people in your team, it can create another bunch of complex stuff to deal with. So my focus is actually just getting a little bit sharper with some of our systems. So that's another thing. I forgot to mention this before. I think in real estate, you've got to be super process orientated, super systems, super tick box person. If you don't do that, and I got this off John McGrath many years ago, your life is chaotic. You might not think it's chaotic, because I remember I've worked with people that have got post-it notes stacked up all over their desk. You can't actually see a computer screen until you sort of, there it is. And they said, "Oh, I've got everything organised. Everything's organised," but they were chaotic. They were running from the printer to the computer back again. So it's, yeah. So, what am I trying to say here? What am I trying to say? I keep going around in circles. Sorry, Mitch, what was that again? Sorry.
You're trying to work on for next year.
Oh, we're working on for next year. Yeah, so systems, just a little bit of redefining on that there, getting my database a little bit sharper, building the team. Personally, just trying to be, the best person I can be fit. I think that's a big part of real estate. Get fit. If you're not fit, get fit. If you're physically fit, you're mentally fit, you're just sharper, you're on point. Matt Steinway, if you want to know about fitness, that was a man that was all over it and some.
He's the man for it.
He is definitely the man for it. I've never met that man. I'd love to meet him one day. And 85% of my business is repeat referral. So as much as I've talked all about this chasing business, I don't actually have to do too much of that now. But 11 years in, 11 years deep, that's probably how it should be. So I mean, you've heard me talk about this before, Mitch, but the world-class stay-in-touch strategy that I invest a lot of money in clients I work with, not the clients I'm chasing. So most agents look to the future, spend a whole lot of money on billboards, sponsorship, TV ads, or maybe not TV, radio ads, blah, 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 blah. But they forget about the people over here that they've done all this work with. I flip that model. I work with those people. I give them vouchers every year. They get a $100 voucher at a local pub in town called Shining Peak on the year of the anniversary for 8 years. So I invest a lot of money and connection with that. Yeah, I find that really effective. 85% of my business is repeat referral. So I can teach people how to get an 85% referral business, because that's what I got.
And how did you come upon that? The importance of looking after, it sounds so stupid when you actually say it out loud, but it's what agents, often fall off. They get the business, they service them at a high level. And then once they've moved past that,
that's right.
Their clients are staying in touch, but they're never really adding value. At what point in your career did you go, hang on a second, this is actually a completely untapped resource where if I just continue to service them, it's going to pay off in the future. And I don't know when it's going to pay off, but eventually it does.
That's right. Yeah, bang on, Mitch. Yeah, so it would have been about 5 years ago when I went. Yeah, it would have been about 5 years ago, because you get pretty close to your vendors. There's a lot of stories that are told there. There's a lot of reasons why people sell a house, and there's six ones. They all start with D: death, divorce, debt, design, disaster, relocating, which I've called something to do with D that moves you somewhere else. I can't think of what it was. What was it? I can't remember. And you get to know these people, particularly the vendors, really quite closely. So you go through this whole process, emotional roller coaster. Settlement comes along, they go that way, you go that way, and never to be seen again, which is a bit stinking. I thought, actually, that was actually, these are people I like to spend time with. These are people that I think that are really cool people that kind of get my vibe, and I get their vibe. So that was the kind of catalyst to go, how do we look after these people? Yes, we give them a gift on settlement day. Most agents do, not all. Most agents do. In fact, the real bad agents are the ones that say, yes, I've got to get that gift to you, Mitch. I'll give it to you on settlement day. And they're still waiting. I am a victim of that strategy. I brought a house on first empty Plymouth. I got told a gift was coming, and I'm still waiting. I'm pretty sure it's not going to arrive. So that's
maybe next year, maybe next year.
So that's the surest way to piss someone off, is if you're going to say something, you don't follow it through. So I just thought gifts is going to be a great way. So settlement day, gift on settlement day. A week later, they get another gift to say, hey, look, hopefully you've moved in now and everything's simmered down a little bit. Here's another gift. 3 months later, they get a coffee voucher at a local cafe. And then 12 months later, it's the $100 voucher at Shiny Peak for 8 years. So it's about an $880 investment per person. And I think it's well worth it. Yeah,
mate, that's massively worth it. Thank you so much for your time. I think there's really core principles that a new agent, a stagnant agent, or even an agent that wants to take their business to the next level can really take away some kind of core philosophies. So really appreciate your time today, Darrell. I know that's going to be a great episode for everyone that tunes in.
No problem. You're welcome. Thanks, mate.